season. Since an 0-3 start, almost impossible to dig out of. Nevertheless, 0-2, just where Joe Burrow likes it. Take a listen.
How do you assess the first two games of your season, Joe?
One bad, one pretty good, but not good enough. So we're getting better every day. Working to improve. There's always room to improve after losses like that and wins. So we're in a good spot.
Okay, Cincy at home, so already better. I thought the game was in Washington, actually at home. Yeah. He's right. How much trouble is Cincinnati in?
I don't think they're in trouble. I think that they have damaged their chances of winning the Super Bowl greatly because their chances of having home field advantage and getting, skipping around to the playoffs is very, very slim at 0-2. But I actually think because of their schedule, because Burrow looked so much better in week 2 than in week 1, I think they're going to be fine. And I still think they're the most dangerous team for Kansas City, the team that you got to beat to get a chance to win a Super Bowl. So it's very odd, Coach, because I think head up against each other, I don't know that they're better than Baltimore. But I think they are so much more likely to get to the tournament than Baltimore is. So I feel like they're just fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, Joe should be hooked up to a heart rate monitor because it doesn't seem like anything moves it. Like success, failure, he has the same consistent approach, which is nice, and it's really nice when you're going through a patch like this, and they've done it over and over again. That's the good and bad news. So you believe that they can dig themselves out of. Probably have to do some self-scout to figure out how to not start 0-2 at some point in his career. But looking at it and the way they played against Kansas City, it's encouraging. And when they get T. Higgins back and when Jamar Chase finally starts rolling, now you've got two elite weapons that just really haven't done very much.
And Higgins and Chase both practiced today for the first time.
Yeah, they both practiced. You get those guys back. Joe looks different. So there's a ton of positive things moving forward. It's just disappointing that we're having the same conversation over and over again with this team.
Yeah, I mean, their 0-2 doesn't feel like Baltimore's. Like they play Washington. As Nick said, the schedule is so much lighter that you don't feel as badly about them. They haven't played well against some of the teams in the division, so that's a red flag. But like you said, Coach, they got Chase. He's going to get better. T. Higgins will be back. The one question I have, though, I mean, they were so despondent, understandably, but that loss, that was a killer loss because you outplayed Kansas City, I think, most of the night, and you just you lose it. Just like you did the last time you played them in the playoffs. And so I wonder how they're going to respond to that. You've talked about, we see Baltimore's in somewhat of a funk.
Yep.
We've seen Buffalo struggle after they lost a heartbreaker to Kansas City. So it'll be interesting. That's my only question.
That heartbreak is so much better than the New England heartbreak.
Yeah. No, I get that. And they got to bring their A game against other teams, not just the Chiefs.
Joe Burrow's career. Week 1, the first 2 weeks, 1-9. Week 3, which this will be 3-0, everything goes up. So maybe it's just him warming up.
Yeah.
It's an automatic W.
Yeah, I agree with Coach's point wholeheartedly that going into next year, you know what, Wilds, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Week 1 next year, Bengals must win. Must win. Yes. Week 1, 2025 must win. Like,
doesn't matter who it is.
I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, Zach Taylor's got to wear a lot of that, as does Burrow, I understand. But I just think they're going to be fine.
Unless they win the Super Bowl.
But week 3, pretty good. Post-game advice to Caleb Williams that may have fallen on deaf ears. Well, at a press conference, CJ discussed his advice and Caleb's lack of interest in it. Take a listen.
Me and Caleb, I was not trying to treat him like I was trying to little bro him or nothing. He knows that too. I have a ton of respect for him. I don't think he was trying to be any towards way. He's just upset that they lost. I totally understand. So I have a ton of respect for that guy, man. I want him to do extremely well, just like any other guy until we play on that day. You know what I mean? And after the game, we can be cool. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely rooting for him and want to see him do extremely well.
Okay.
I totally believe him. And so hold on, just real quick, Brew, if I may. What?
I'm just.
What?
I convinced you.
No.
I was saying this yesterday.
No. You didn't convince me. I think C.J. Stroud has earned a lot of credibility and benefit of any doubt. I
said the same thing yesterday. He's shown to be a guy of high character.
Right, he has. And so I believe him. And yesterday I said that I thought it was in play that C.J. was trying to kind of stick it to Caleb.
In play?
No, because
was it? Did he say in play? I thought you were quite definitive that he was trying to Sunny. Wasn't no in play.
Drew wants credit for
No, I'm just saying.
You have to give it to
you
him.
got to admit, Nick, it wasn't about in play. You were like,
what?
He was trying to Sunny.
No, I said that I thought Caleb thought he was trying to sun him, I want to. I'll be very clear today, so no one can misunderstand.
Sure.
I don't blame Caleb for how he reacted. That is what we argued about yesterday. I would have reacted the same way. I still feel that way. I also believe CJ that was not his intention. And I think CJ standing up there and saying that is very believable. And maybe this is an indictment on who I am. But I will take it out of the sports world. If at work you have different groups doing a pitch for your boss, competing pitches, and you and I, Wilds, are both competing. And you and I got to the firm at around the same time. We're in the college at around the same time and are the same age. And your pitch wins. And we're walking out of the meeting. And you put your arm around me. You're like, listen, here's what you need to do next time. That would piss me off. Now, if you had been at the company 20 years and you were an advisor and you said, hey, here's something, I would take it differently. So I Caleb for taking it the way he did, but I believe CJ that he did not intend it that way.
But it feels a little bit more like Kevin started a year ahead of you at the company,
right?
Made some really successful pitches, and then you went in and made a terrible pitch, and he's like, "Hey."
That's a perfect example. I agree, but they're the exact same age.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing. In Nick's defense, I do think everybody in the football world knows that after the game, when you talk to someone, there's a million microphones. There's a million cameras. So I think if he really wanted to deliver that in the most meaningful, impactful way, he'd do it somewhere more discreet. You know when you walk over, whatever you say, whatever you do is going to be on camera. So taking that part into account, I do believe he could have handled it better with either talking to him afterwards, in the tunnel, or possibly
texting. And as you said, it's a little rare for those comments to involve what someone did poorly.
Yeah, you never see that.
It's usually stay healthy, I'll see you later in the year. It's rarely, here's how to deal with cover two.
The mistakes were so obvious, he just said learn from those mistakes. He didn't say, look, learn from those interceptions.
I don't know if I've ever heard learn from those mistakes ever.
Let me ask you to use an analogy, as you said, outside of sports. When Wilds first, you're younger than Wilds. If when he first started on First Things First, after a week, you, younger than him, in fact, didn't interview with him at ESPN?
Yeah, a long time
And he
ago.
turned you down?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so all of that history, kicked you out of office.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
If
well, you gotta have an end to a meeting.
So hold on, you're younger than him, and he kicked you out of an office. He was in a position of authority over you at some point.
That's right.
If you went to him, who had been on the show for a few years, and said to Wilds, look, don't worry about the mistakes, everything within you, but say, if you did, everything within you to be great is already within you.
You would have
been like,
you would have been ticked off?
No, I would have been like, thank you, I appreciate that advice.
I mean, if he had a bad week, and you said that,
Wilds, tell the truth to the audience.
I would have.
Wilds, if shortly into us working together,
I wasn't good at the beginning.
I know, and I didn't say anything about it because it would have ruined
it would have helped him.
Yeah,
it would have wanted some encouragement.
Just out there.
Right.
I don't do nothing.
He's wondering, does Nick think I'm terrible? Like, what? He could have used an encouraging word.
But also, bad analogy, because we're teammates. It would be one thing if someone on the... This is a competitor. It's a competitor.
It'd be worse on TV if he said it on TV.
Oh, yeah, right. Patriots, who haven't lost a game in regulation, taking on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Jets bounce back against the listless Titans, where Rodgers threw for 176 yards. Okay.
That Titans defense has held some great quarterbacks down.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's been 24 games since he threw for 300 yards, which all of a sudden I feel like, you know, an indie band.
Yeah.
It almost
That's exactly
on
right.
Volkswagen
Yeah.
commercials. Like, what the heck? Everybody wants it now. So, what's more likely, Patriots upset win or a Jets blowout? Anybody want to take the floor?
Well, can I just pull back the, what is it, fifth wall, fourth wall? What do I